Welcome to commARCH's weekly podcast with Emily Losego, the MSVD Product Manager at Vitro Architectural Glass. Emily Losego is Vitro's manager of magnetron sputtered vacuum deposition, or MSVD products, where she works with Vitro's marketing and innovation team to bring new glass product ideas from the drawing board to the production line. A former practicing architect and Vitro National Architectural Manager, Losego now works with Vitro certified network members to help them identify the products they need and coordinate with Vitro plants to plan for demand and coordinate supply chains. Now we'll join Emily Losego and commARCH's Dean Horowitz to start the podcast.
Thanks for joining me.
Absolutely, I'm happy to be here.
So I love your background. So you started out as an architect.
Yes.
Then went to Vitro Architectural Glass at some point. But what were you thinking when you were going in architectural school? Like, what were your goals and ambitions? And then how did you do the transfer to work at a building product manufacturer?
So for me, I actually started working in firms when I was in high school through like internship programs. So I had worked in a firm since I was about 16 and really liked the challenges of the creativity, the analytical. So for me, that was the right path to go on in college. And then I went to grad school as well. And then once I entered practice, I was very fortunate to land at a small residential and small commercial firm. So I got to do a lot of pieces of the business side, which I started to enjoy more than the architectural work itself. So that kind of set a trigger in my mind that there may be other ways that I want to spend my days. And for me, I made the decision that I wanted to pivot to a building material, so be related to the project, have a different seat at the table around architecture, but not be the architect, be in that architect seat. So I got very lucky being here in Pittsburgh that our hometown manufacturer was PPG Glass. So for me, I was able to make the pivot. And for me, I love glass. I mean, I can get really nerdy about glass. It's in architecture school. One of the first things you learn about is solid void. So glass versus wall. So it's one of like the design 101 components. For me, I love that you can be like an inch away from a thunderstorm and be completely safe and comfortable. It connects you emotionally and visually to the indoor, outdoor, the nature connection. So it's the best building material out of the whole project, right? Like it's so cool what you can do with it, what architects are doing with it. So I got lucky that I could be in glass, but also contribute in ways to architectural projects through the way the building looks, with curtain wall design, how that glass looks in the world, but then performance, because now there's also that energy savings, the sustainability, the performance side of the glass as well. So it touches so many different aspects of the building's design that I just get jazzed that I still get to contribute to how projects work in the world and how we can make them better. And,
so it's always collaboration.
Yes.
And so you're taking all that about the science of glass and allowing a vision that probably couldn't have been realized otherwise to be
right. So I feel like it's helping other architects who are much better architects than I ever would have been on my own, but helping them understand what glass can do for their building and help their vision meet all their project goals and needs as well. So that's one thing I love about glass. So I just got really lucky to be in this seat.
Well, Vitro, largest glass provider? I think
glass manufacturer.
Largest in
North America.
North America. And an innovator. When I think about the Vitro, I think about low E. So there are a number of different products within that. So can you walk through what kind of offerings and some collaboration?
Yes, I'd be happy to. So my current role with Vitro Architectural Glass is the MSVD Coated Product Manager. So MSVD is what low E coatings are. That's the technology. The magnetron sputtered vacuum deposition is actually the technology and the process to put the low E coating onto the glass itself. So with an MSVD coating or low E, we float the glass. So we're making sheets of glass just similarly to like sheets of plywood or sheets of of drywall in our plants. And then what we do is we take that glass, we move it to our coaters, our MSVD coaters. And from there, we feed the glass through. And in these different chambers, we put the glass under vacuum. And that's where we deposit metallics of different layering and different thicknesses in order to get our solar band low E coating product family. So solar band is our family of low E coatings. And that's really where we can take that glass and really boost that energy performance. And we do that, like I said, silver is the effective ingredient. That's what really gives us our solar control. And we see that through the solar heat gain coefficient. So with our solar band low E coatings, and that's something that we brought over when we became Vitro from PPG. Everything that was PPG is just now Vitros. So we're still making glass in the same plants. You're still working with the same people. We still have all the names. Solar band was, if you knew us as solar band with PPG, you write down solar band, you're just getting it from Vitro now as our new entity. But what's been really great, as you mentioned, innovation, is once we became Vitro started to really invest in our glass business again, in which PPG, a lot of architects may know them now as a paint company. Mm-hmm. And so when that transition was going on, PPG wanted to boost their paint portfolio. And so with Vitro acquiring our glass business, they wanted to boost our glass performance. So within the first year, we installed our jumbo coater down at our plant in Wichita Falls under Vitro. That was their first day announcement. We're now Vitro Glass. Second day, we're putting in this coater. So that opened up our coating availability and offerings. We actually just launched a brand new low E coating just in February of this year called Solar Band R77. So this is our newest low E coating offering. It's our mid-reflective. So it has an exterior reflectivity of 25%. So it's not a full mirror glass, but it's also not, it's a boost in exterior reflectivity than our kind of workhorse products, but it also has a solar heat gain coefficient of 0.25, which allows it to be used anywhere in the country. That's going to meet your energy codes. It's going to exceed it in the north, but it's also going to meet it down in Florida, Texas, California, as there's a greater cooling demand climate range of the country. So we're really excited about Solar Band R77.
So what are areas within the building envelope that are enhanced as a result of the technologies that maybe people don't necessarily think about when they're designing a building or considering what products are going to go into it?
Yeah, so with our solar band low E coatings, they live in the exterior envelope, and so code right now requires at least a low E coating between two pieces of glass. So you have that airspace for U value, which is your heat transfer through the glass. The low E coating works best on the backside of the outward light. So we call that surface number 2. And really there's two elements to your glass design. There's the glass itself. So if you want clear glass is kind of the run of the mill, just clear. We also have low iron glasses though. We have Starfire, which is our ultra clear, and we have our newest, which is Acuity, which is a low iron designed to be paired with a solar band low E coating. So you can get your aesthetics through the glass itself if you also want to use a tint. So a blue, a green, gray, or bronze. That's another way to affect the way the glass looks, but you can then boost that with the use of a low E coating. So I call that the 1-2 punch, right? You can get some performance through the tint itself. So a gray glass is going to block more heat from entering your building than a clear piece of glass, just based on the color itself. So you have the glass that's going to do some of the work, but then you have the low E coating that's really going to boost what your building's envelope can do. And that has great, it works in conjunction and holistically with the electrical use of the building, right? If you can daylight and bring more natural light in, you're going to have less dependence on your overhead lighting and therefore use less electricity, which we love. And also just the emotional benefits of daylighting and having that connection to the outdoor environment. But then we can also, depending on the low E coating and the performance of the building, we can really reduce how much of the exterior heat that is going to enter your interiors, therefore needing to be conditioned by your mechanical system. So that 0.25 I mentioned of a solar heat gain coefficient, for example, that means that only 25% of the sun's heat is going to make its way to the interior. So that's a 75% of the heat that is not coming into your building that you don't have to address through your mechanical system. So it's part of the holistic approach to your systems, you know, as you're working with engineers, your lighting design, your mechanical design. That's really where the glass envelope fits in those design conversations and systems conversations.
So an architect, the more they know about your types of products, the more engaged conversation they can have with an owner developer about how that's going to work in overall performance and the long-term value.
Absolutely, especially the operating costs, right? So if we can have our envelope of the building doing more of the work, that means that your systems inside don't have to do as much work, or they can potentially be downsized. So there is a upfront cost give and take that can be had, as well as the long-term operating costs of that building as well. So there is a benefit to the owner to understand what the glass can do on the building itself, and where that investment can be, if it's in the envelope and let that envelope work all the time for you, or if that decision is going to be made that the mechanical system is going to have to do a little bit more work based on the envelope doing a little less. That's the holistic approach with the glass design.
Well, that relationship with nature for occupants is a big draw. So I'm just assuming owners and developers want to hear about that too, because that's going to be more attractive to who's going to fill the building.
Right, and especially different projects lend themselves to that connection in different ways. I know there's studies with hospitals that patients will actually recover faster if they're exposed to natural light and having views of the outdoors. So that's one way. And employee productivity, you know, if they can understand that a cloud, you know, it's raining outside, or that the daytime is passing, they're going to be more productive employees. And then there's actually, you can extrapolate cost benefits to having a daylit space. And sustainability programs are recognizing this, like LEED and WELL. They have daylighting credits and trying to promote the connection for the occupants to the outside, whether it's through natural light or that view connection, sitting inside and being able to look out and what you're looking out at.
What are some daylighting questions that you might find regularly that there's an information gap on?
One that we come across a lot is the topic of glare, which is interesting because on one side you want to say, let's bring in as much natural light as we possibly can. And what that translates to is a high number of visible light transmittance. So that percentage would say, okay, I'm going to be able to bring 60% of natural light in. And you go, oh my, that's great. That's a lot of natural light. But depending on the use, that might actually be too high, because now you're creating high contrast lighting conditions on your work surface. So while it might be great that you're bringing in all that light, it could mean that you're facing glare issues. So there is that balance of, or the building design opportunities where you may actually want to bring your visible light down a little bit, so that way your occupants, you may not have those glare issues, but still giving those connections to the outside and having that glass available, so you're still able to look out and feel that the sun is out, or that the sun is setting, or, you know, that storm is going to come in. That's really important just for us as humans, understanding the environment we're in. You know, people are a lot happier when they're connected to the outside. It's just who we are. It's in our biology.
Well, all that you hit on is all the more reason why an architect should reach out to you earlier in the project, right? In the pre-design phases, to make sure that they know how to do this right using your technology.
Yes, no, and we have a network of, we call them NAMs, National Architectural Managers. Architects may know them as just their rep. But we have a full nationwide network of reps that are available to learn about their project and help answer these questions and be educational resources to architects. So that way they're putting their spec together in the best way. They're understanding what products are available to meet their aesthetic needs and the performance needs. And one of the things that we really see as a value and resource to the architects is a clean spec is going to lead to a cleaner bidding process, and you're going to get better numbers. You're going to get you're going to reduce time. That if we've seen specs that are just a copy paste from a little too long, right? Like the copy of a copy of a copy that we might see discontinued products that still kind of live in specs. So what our NAMs are able to do is help those specifications list the appropriate products, make sure that also equivalents are listed apples to apples. We also see a lot of specs where they might list our product against the non-equivalent from a competitor's. So now that's going to skew the bidding as well. And that's just going to add more time, more, maybe add another round of getting prices, getting questions. And then it makes the process harder to get true numbers back on the project to make those decisions as well. So not only can our reps guide architects to make sure they understand what's available, how to meet their aesthetic and performance needs, but also to make sure that it's being documented clearly to support them through that bidding phase. And then our reps also can tie the project to our network of customers to make sure that we're giving that spec the best chance to get bid and sourced as well.
Yeah, great. So using at one point in time an open mind to talk with one of the reps, get a fuller understanding, getting them engaged will save a tremendous amount of time later.
Absolutely.
It
helps. Yeah, we want to support the architects, but we also support our customers who buy from us. So that's our service to our customers in a way that if we can help the specs that they are bidding on be cleaner and list the products that the architects actually want on their projects, that just helps our supply chain. It helps our customers who are fabricators, it helps their customers who are the glazing contractors, and then it's those glazing contractors that are preparing the bids for the construction managers or the general contractors. So we see it from both sides. So that's really, our team can also help connect architects to different performance charts and comparisons, and also our sample program as well.
Well, I think everybody is still getting their mind around PPG, Vitro. Vitro has done a really nice job of creating an innovative culture, not just in its products, but the products are the benefit of that culture. What are some examples of what it's like?
Innovation. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's really exciting because I'm working for a glass company again. When I was hired with PPG, it was like working for a paint company, but we're full-blown glass. That's our world again. So internally, we've actually changed our structure. So the team I'm on is called Marketing and Innovation, and my team is charged with figuring out what we're going to bring next to our product offerings. And one of the things I like to say is when we became Vitro, our R&D team is really who won out in this, because a lot of projects that they had been innovating and working on, PPG wasn't interested in because they were interested in glass, or I'm sorry, they were interested in paint. So now being under Vitro, our R&D team was able to take those projects off, dust them off and revisit them. So we've been really working in harmony with R&D, with our marketing and innovation team and R&D. So we're coming at it from both sides to bring better products and new products to our offering. Internally, we even opened up a Vitro innovation portal. So any employee, whether that's at a plant, our R&D center, our glass technology center in Pittsburgh, anyone who's a field worker, anyone who's Vitro can submit their own ideas. So we're casting the net that we want to hear from our colleagues, our team members who work with glass in different ways every day, of how we can make it better for ourselves, for our customers, for the environment, for residential, commercial. It's this, there's finally a portal and a way to be able to submit those ideas, and they can come from anyone. So someone working at our manufacturing plant might say, why don't we do it this way? And now we have a way to capture that and improve those processes as well. So it's been really exciting that Vitro's kind of instilled it in different ways within our company culture, not to just say that we like innovation, but we're actually having the channels and teams and supporting that in place internally with how to actually achieve that. One of the
I'm sure that a new product or products coming out in February just reinvigorates that too, and reassures everybody it's not a waste of time. This company's serious.
Yeah, and one that we just launched, which is really exciting for us and is really the true sense of innovation for us, is going into a new space for us, is our new solar volt product, which is BIPV, so building integrated photovoltaics. So this is something we haven't been able to offer before. We just launched it. We're really excited about this because this is taking us into another world of being able to generate electricity in our glass. And it's awesome. It's so cool. So what BIPV is, our solar volt, it's actually a laminated glass. So we take the solar cells are sandwiched between two pieces of glass, and they're all connected. So as the sun hits them, we're able to harness that energy and convert it into electricity. But that can be used for vision glass, for safety glass applications, because it's laminated. So it can be used on balustrades on patios. It can be used in skylight applications. It can be used as sunscreen elements. But it's a way that we're able as a glass company to now also support the sustainable initiatives. And to get back to your comment about like the owners and their investment in these buildings, this is a way to generate some cash, some savings, because you can generate your own electricity. So that's going to reduce your operating costs. So with Solar Volt, what we really like is there's a ROI that can be calculated based on the design that owners love to hear, right? Who doesn't love to know when their investment is going to pay for itself?
How is it captured?
So there's different patterns and there's different transparencies. So the solar cells are actually connected in the inner layer. So there's actually little wires that connect all the different solar cells. And the solar cells, they're about 4x4. They can also be custom designed. So if an architect can think it up, we can make it happen with our Solar Volt project. So that glass is laminated together to protect the solar collectors within a laminated assembly. So there's still an inboard light. So we're still getting our U value. We're still incorporating, if it's an exterior vision application or an envelope application, we can still incorporate a solar band low E coating, still get that insulation with our U value that we need. And then that gets installed within a standard frame. So within a standard storefront or curtain wall. We also have applications of it as like canopy elements. So freestanding elements at an entry, let's say, that like you can drive your car under, that whole canopy system, because it's overhead glazing, it's required to be laminated anyway. So now that laminate can have the electricity, generating technology within it as well. We're excited.
So more applications. So where are you seeing that it's being picked up the most, and what types of buildings?
So right now, because it's really new for us, we came out with it, I want to say March 1st, somewhere earlier this year. We're seeing a lot of exterior overhangs right now. So those roof elements or shading devices. We do have projects that have used it as a spandrel, which is a really interesting application. So in your envelope, as you're passing by that floor plenum where you have your mechanical system, your ducts, your lighting, that you would just handle with a normal, like either a silicone spandrel application or a ceramic frit. Now you can put the Solar Volt there. So now instead of that area just kind of being static, now you can actually have that as an active element of your building to generate, to capture the energy from the sun, but also still providing that opacifying need to not want to see all the guts of the building.
Going back to, if you were still an architect, what are some of the buildings that you would start using this on? Because I'm just thinking immediately, education, healthcare, office is a no-brainer.
Yeah, I love the idea of it on a skylight, because that's really where we talk a lot. We get, a lot of people need to bring light down to these large, cool interior spaces that start to go, are multi-story spaces and gathering and public spaces. But what happens a lot with those, or that can happen, is glare, again, because you're bringing a lot of light in, and that can actually kind of light the space too much. So to put the solar volt panels there, it brings your light transmission down. You're able to harness that electricity, and so it kind of, I just think that's such a cool way to connect your interior spaces with the solar volt product. I love that. I just think that it makes so much sense to use it in that application. I also love, the balustrades on a residential building, because you need laminated glass there anyway. So why not let it do something, right? I just think it's such an interesting way to kind of activate the glass in another way on your building.
Yeah, well, I think then our role is to make sure the market understands that there are all these capacities and all these good things to start thinking about with glass, and how you're actually going to change how buildings are put together and how they're calculated.
That's a really cool way to think about it. For us, we have our network of reps, like I said, and they are huge resources, and they know how to tie the architects and their questions to any support they need internally too. So we want to get those questions, and that's really where as architects are thinking about it and these questions are coming up, we really want to make sure that they're finding their rep. And we do have a map on our website. Top right hand corner says find your rep, your architectural rep. And there you get their phone number and email. And especially now in the world that we're in, we want to make sure that, people are at their desk more, they're remote. So everyone's cell phones are on there. But also on our website, to help navigate this process, we have our online tools that can be really big assets if you know enough and you kind of want to answer some questions on your own, or if you need questions answered and it's late at night and your rep might be snoozing away. We have our construct calculator, which is a really cool tool to do a comparison of different configurations side by side. So in our construct tool, you actually pick the glass, your outboard light, the low E coating, how big your airspace is there argon? Is there not? Your inboard light, is there frit? Is it just clear glass? You pick your elements and you can generate a table. So you can put side by side the lights or your insulated glass units that you're considering. And that can become a really great tool to have in one place, what those performances are, and not have to go to different places and try to pick it all out. So that construct tool is used quite a bit, and it's really helpful.
Well, so many times when you're designing something, you don't want to be slowed up with the conversation. So if I could just grab what I need and make some assumptions and then have it proofed afterwards.
Right. We keep it going, right? So we also have a search tool where if you know where your solar heat gain should be, a range, if you want exterior reflectance, it has a bunch of dials on the margin. So you pick, I want clear, blue, bronze, you pick the aesthetic, you pick those performances, and it'll narrow down and say, these are the glasses that meet your criteria. So that can be really helpful too. Like you said, I need a starting point. I know this little bit of information. What does that do to help me understand what my options are at that point? Yeah, so those are both available on our website that are really great resources for architects as well.
Great. And it just seems easy to engage Vitro in a project because you have all these different touch points.
Yeah, we even have chat. So if you're on our website and our chat agents are online, you can just shoot a message and say, this is what I need help with. And that takes you to our architectural services team, and they're able to answer questions as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Emily. This is great.
No, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity to share more about Vitro Architectural Glass.
Exciting. Thanks.
Thanks for joining us this week, and we hope to see you in the next episode. The commARCH Weekly Podcast Series is available for listening through all major platforms and via our website at www.commARCH.com. Thanks for listening.